All right, everyone. So in today's episode, I'm going to break down the trades from this morning. We're going to go over the stocks I traded. It is another green day, locking up base hits here, and I am inside my mobile command center, my traveling trading station. This is my mobile office. It's in the back of a Sprinter van, a conversion van, and I'm actually streaming, trading, and making this episode here from Canada. So one of the things that has really made this possible is the advances in internet speed. It is, I mean, even this year versus last year, improvement. So I've been doing this with Starlink for the last 3 years, traveling throughout the US and streaming and trading and doing these episodes. And this has so far been the best of the 3 years in terms of internet stability. Lower latency, just better connectivity. It's like it just getting better, which is so awesome. I'm excited for even just a few years from now because it's going to keep getting better. So anyway, so this morning, kind of an interesting day. Last night, I sat down. One of the first things I do, usually in the morning, is I check my top gapper scanner and just look at what's gapping up. But what I also will do is I'll check my top after hours gainers. And I did that last night before I went to bed just to kind of see like what's moving, after hours. And I saw JBDI was a big gainer. So if I pull up JBDI, this one's kind of interesting. So it ends up IPOing yesterday. And of course, luck of the draw that this is a day that we ended up actually getting a really nice move, but later in the day in the afternoon. And of course, I missed it. So this thing goes from about $6 all the way up to $12 a share, pulls back, and then after hours squeezes up to 16. Granted, it does it on like 60,000 shares of volume after hours, so very, very thinly traded. Pulls back at 4 a.m. on 98,000 shares of volume. It spikes up to a high of 1950. And from there, it just starts selling off, and it goes lower and lower and lower and lower. And honestly, this was kind of a drag. I was disappointed because I was like, it's the right combination of float. Like this one could work. If you hear some road noise, I'm kind of near a road right now, but hopefully it's not too loud for you. So I pulled up the filings on this JBDI, and I was like, was this the ticker? No, JBDI. So JBDI, because I was trying to figure out, I was like, well, what's the float? How many shares? So 2.9 million shares. So I'm like, okay, it's a lower float stock. What else do we know about it? We kind of scroll down, try to get a sense of just some details about the company. And one of the things that I was thinking in general is that we haven't seen very many good small cap IPOs in a while, to be honest. So I was sort of skeptical about, how much it would go up and what it would really do. But when I saw it on the scan this morning, or last night, I was like, clearly it's moving, so it's worth watching. And then when I pulled it up this morning, it was already selling off. So at that point, I was like, all right, that's how to play. June was on the scans last night as well, JUNE, and dropped right back down pre-market. So that was kind of weird. Just totally back to dead. And then this morning at about 6:30, BSLK was our leading gapper, up over 100%. Hi, what'd you say? You're hungry? All right, see if you could find something. I see some carrots up on the counter there, and I see some crackers. You see if you could find one of those items that you might like, or you could also go ask your granny for some help if you want. Let me finish this video, and then I'll come help you some more. Does that sound good? All right, we'll get one of those things for you when I finish this episode. So BSLK double tops at 550 pre-market, but when I first pulled it up, this is what I saw. This kind of 4 a.m. spike, kind of like JBDI, and I thought, all right, well, I don't love the 4 a.m. spike, but this might work. And then coming right into 7 a.m., this thing starts squeezing. It starts pulling away. So what I ended up doing on this one was on the 1-minute chart coming into 7 a.m., I took my first trade. It starts to squeeze right here at 7:02. I bought, and I did a little kind of micro pullback dip in this area. and I made $39. I get in, it doesn't end up doing really what I thought. I stop out. And then I got back in as it kind of pushes a little higher up here, and then I stopped out a second time, and I was like, you know what? This thing is kind of a grinder. It's a little bit difficult. So yeah, so first trade was in at 440, out at 442. I was up like 15 cents a share, but stopped out flat. Then I got back in at 64 and got out at 66. And at that point, I was like, this thing is frustrating. So I got up for a second, and I come back and I see that it proceeded to have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 green candles in a row. It just kind of kept grinding higher. And so I ended up buying this dip down here and catching a pop back up here. And that was actually my best trade on it. So that gave me $1,400, which, you know, is green. It's not a home run. But again, not trying to hit home runs, just trying to catch base hits. But I could have done better on this, but I kind of fumbled it. So sort of fumbled BSLK. I think it was 4 trades on it. 3 winners and 1 loser. So 75% accuracy on that name. So $1,400. Once I get my cushion, now I can start taking a little bit more risk and a little more share size. And that's when VRAX popped up, VRAX. Now, the thing with VRAX is that initially I was like, I don't know. You know, it had an offering recently. It feels like we're probably on the backside of this big move here. I'm just not sure if we're going to see like another leg higher. I kind of feel like we're not. The volume today, however, is decent. And it does have news this morning. So we've got a catalyst on it. And anyways, so finally the price action was strong enough that I was like, you know what? I'll take a trade. So it squeezes up here, no trade, no trade, no trade. And then right through here, I say, you know what? I'm going to take a trade for the break of 6. So right in here, I get in for the break of 6. We squeeze up to 610, and I jump out of that with $1,500 of profit. So first trade, 10,000 shares, in and out 15 cents, which was good because, you know, now I had a cushion. I could take a little bit of risk. The next trade, it pulls back, and I decide, you know, I'm just going to kind of sit on this for a second. So at 734, I take a dip trade off of 6 right here. It bounces up to 611. I take some profit, and that gives me a little bit more. Now I'm up, you know, $1,700 on it. And then I take another trade at 613 and get out as it sort of tops wherever that was, around 617. So that got me to about where I'm at right now, 3,500, which is, you know, a nice green day. It's just basically exactly the same as the last couple days. It's not a home run, but, you know, slow and steady wins the race. So then I don't trade it through this area. We have this nasty rejection candle right here. It flushes down. Then it comes back up right through here. And as it squeezes back up, hang on one second. I'm just going to close that in case the wind is making too much noise. So then it does this nasty false breakout candle right here. It pops up, it jams down right there. Then it comes up and does it again. So now we're seeing some higher volume rejections. And then at the open, we dip down and then we rip into a halt, which truthfully surprised me. I did not see that coming, and I did not trade going into that halt. So we halt up. And then we open, we dip down. I bought the dip, and we rip up to 760. I made another $1,000. Now I'm up 4,500, and I'm like, hey, we're actually getting pretty close to that $5,000 daily goal here. I'm sort of like impressed. This is pretty good. So it dips down here. I take a nice trade off of 7. That gives me this little bounce here. And then I got back in at 740, and I was like, I think we're going to do a wick reclaim and squeeze back to 760. And then it dumps back to 715, and I lost $1,000. So within the span of, you know, 3 minutes here, 5 minutes, whatever, I made 1,000, lost 1,000. So I went to 4,500, then back to 3,500. And at that point, I was like, well, those two trades just cancel each other out. And that was my biggest loser of the day. So, you know, at this point, I ended on my biggest loser of the day because I'm now locking it up. And I don't like to end on a loser, but it just so happened that I lost there. And then, I kind of was watching it to see if there'd be another setup, but it broke down. So there was no more trades on that one. And then if we go back to JBDI, this one, is really ridiculous because it had that pop at 4 a.m. and then it's just selling off, selling off, selling off. It halts up at the open and then instantly halts down a second time, halts down a third time, and then it resumes down here and it starts to bounce. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get in this thing, but I'm watching the level 2. And on the level 2, there was a 10,000 share seller at $10. And what I was waiting for was it to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I was going to jump in just before it breaks. All of a sudden, it broke in like one order, and it goes immediately to 1048, and it's halted up. And I was like, well, I missed it. So it halted up, goes up 50 cents a share, squeezes up to 11, and then it drops back down before rallying back up to 12. So I ended up missing that trade, but of course not wanting to chase it, which was the right move. And even if it curls back up and goes through 15 here, it doesn't change the fact that we're still well off our pre-market highs, technically, which are up at 1950. So that chart is kind of a mess. We also had the stock ACAC, which is a special acquisition company. It's a SPAC. This one's kind of, these are funny because sometimes they'll make these big moves, which doesn't really make sense, but this did put in a move this morning. It goes right here, as you can see, from 15 to 22, dips down, curls back up to 20. And I watched it in here, but noted high volume selling. So there was no trigger. I also noticed on my top gainers scanner, which one was it? There was one that started to pop up, AZTR, maybe? No, ALT, AZ. No, I can't remember which one it was. I don't even think it was on this scanner either. Anyways, it was a stock that we traded last week. Maybe I'll find it on the continuation scanner. It hit my top gainer scanner, but it's not on that scanner anymore because it dropped down too much today. It's not on here either. All right, doesn't matter. But there was a stock that was on the scans that had like 7 or 8 consecutive red days, and I kind of thought, oh, 7 or 8 consecutive red days, like if this thing bounces, we could get a nice bounce day. So I sort of had my eye on that for a maybe, but it was only a maybe. And the fact is, there just wasn't enough volume. That was kind of the problem today. We had stocks that were popping up, but none of them really had enough volume. Are you my little helper? Yeah. And do you have your charts? Where are your charts? You show me your charts. Those are your charts. Yep. You've got your charts here for, what do we have? We've got GameStop. We've got our scanners. We've got our news feed. So you are busy at work. I'm working too. So anyways, yeah, so JDBI, that was a no. Oh, BOF. Okay, so if we look right now at our top gainers, I traded BSLK and I traded VRAX. These top gainers, of course, are moving. The top gappers, VRAX and BSLK. But what about BOF? I didn't trade BOF, so why not? So the thing with BOF was that when it first hit my scanner, it was sort of right under $1 a share. And I just knew that there'd be a lot of sellers. Careful with that. There'd be a lot of sellers at $1. So I didn't want to trade it right here. It came up, double tops at $1, no surprise, pulls back, comes back up again. But again, in this area, I was just like, it's not worth it. I'm not going to be able to make enough on this. So it's just not worth it. So I said, nope, I'm not going to trade that. So nothing on that one. At the open, it does put in a nice squeeze and halts up, pushes a little higher. And I looked down and I said, how many shares do I have to buy to make any decent money on this? It's just the risk to reward isn't there. High volume selling. So no trades on BOF. ASST pulled it up. I was like, technically we're breaking the 200 today, but I don't know. I just wasn't feeling it. Lower volume, high volume day a couple days ago, so the relative volume's a little lower. I didn't see a fresh catalyst. XCUR, I did not like this setup. kind of right under the 200 moving average, near resistance here. I just thought, no, that's not going to work. And then I kind of started feeling like, you know what? I feel like I'm getting a little desperate. Like it's 9:45, 10 a.m., 10:15. I gave back $1,000 and now I'm trying to kind of make back what I lost. And I was just like, is it really worth it? Like, who cares? It's choppy today. And I feel like if I keep pushing it, I'm just gonna lose. Like, trade the market you're in, not the market you want to be in. I want to be in a market where I'm up, $10,000. I would love that, but that's not today. And if I try to, you know, stretch and hit that kind of goal today, I'm gonna have to really lower my quality threshold because there's nothing A quality. So I would be forced to take B and C quality setups, which would be, like GDC. Like this is a stock that has low relative volume. Yes, it's technically first daily candle to make a new high, but it's also a Chinese stock. These ones can be really tricky. The volume today just isn't there. It's not worth it. Like this is just, even if it does bounce, the liquidity on it's going to be poor. So it's like, today's just not a day to be aggressive. So what I should really do is I should, batten down the hatches. I should be conservative and wait for the next day when things actually start to pick up. And then that's the day where I should double down, dig deep, and spend an extra couple hours sitting here trading, even though I'm in my traveling trading station and I'm in Canada and I want to be able to, decompress and relax and stuff like that. I'm going to trade every day, but today's a day that is not calling for me to dig deep, trade with big size, or spend extra time trading. Today's a day where it makes a lot more sense for me just to batten down the hatches, get through this choppy day, and live to trade another day. So you know what? Green is good. Sitting here with $3,500, I think that's a terrific day. Why overstay my welcome, right? And then, as it turns out, I ended up doing that by about 7:30 a.m. And what I've made past 7:30 ended up being a wash. But I had to stay longer because there was definitely a chance that we would have breaking news at 8 or 8:30 or 9 that would give me a nice trade. And at that point, I had a cushion to take some risk. So, I took a little risk at the open on VRAX, got myself up 4,500, gave it right back. And at that point, I was like, I just don't think it's worth pushing my luck too much more. So that's where I sit right now. Those of you guys who have not already checked out a 2-week trial at Warrior Trading, there'll be a link pinned at the top of the comments, linked in the description, so you can check out a 2-week trial. During that trial, you're going to have access to the first 6 chapters of Day Trading the Basics, my foundational course, which I think you guys will really enjoy. You'll also have access to the first chapter of Day Trading Strategies and Scaling, and we'll give you access to some live trading archives and some mentor sessions. So make sure you check out that 2-week trial. It's 2 weeks for $20. You're going to learn a ton. You're going to get a sense of what the software is like. You're going to be able to watch me trade in real time. 2 weeks for $20. This seems like a great deal. So hope you guys take advantage of that. And I will be back at it live streaming bright and early tomorrow morning, hoping that we have a better scan, but perfectly willing to trade the market that's right in front of me. Reminder, as always, manage your risk. Take it slow and practice a simulator before you put real money on the line, because in case you hadn't heard, my results are not typical and trading is risky. I'll see you guys tomorrow.